Good evening. Welcome to Point Blank here at KTN News with the Wiper Democratic Movement Vice Chairman, my friend and brother, Mutula Kilonzo. But looking at the words of Frank Fanon, and great poet, saying that in every generation there comes a time when you must defend yourself in the hour of maximum danger. Under the Wiper leadership, can Mutula Kilonzo and his party leader make a difference in Kenyatta's fight on corruption? Mheshimiwa,
yes,
Kenyans can't take it anymore. This issue of corruption has become endemic.
Yes.
It has become cancerous,
yes,
to the extent that the nation is wasting away.
Yes.
The fight has gathered momentum. Are you happy with the momentum? Is there something you need to say about it?
I agree with you that corruption in Kenya has become like the 48th state. It's become something synonymous with another government existing on its own. And therefore, I'm happy that some action appears to be taken. Action to the extent that people have been charged. But Tony, the day we will believe that action is real is the day you will see a public officer behind bars, charged, assets recovered, and serving jail term.
So when will Mutula Kilonzo and Kalonzo Musyoka stop playing PR with Uhuru Kenyatta and go back to that state house where you are and demand action?
We have demanded action, and we don't need to go to State House. This is a forum. And I've said before, even after the State of the Nation address, I said to the president, and I repeat, if your cabinet secretary is perceived by the public to be corrupt, you don't need him to be charged. Chapter 6 does not say he needs to be charged. Chapter 6 is political responsibility as opposed to legal responsibility. That person must be removed from office. It cannot appear that the DPP must then direct the president in terms of that person has been charged and therefore removed from office. It makes nonsense of a National Intelligence Service.
Fanon was saying that the danger in a generation is to defend itself.
Yeah.
This cancer might consume your generation of leadership. My question to you is this. Can't you push the president harder by naming and shaming? There was a philosophy previously in fighting corruption where political parties, political leadership did not leave it to the executive and to the DCI alone, that people would actually call out corruption either in the floor of the Senate, in the floor of Parliament, out there in political, and be damned or be doomed.
Yes.
That, in other words, you cannot just sit. When you can see, this man yesterday was living in 1 acre, now he's flying a chopper, and he's building a mansion. Can Wiper be so blind? That the Wiper, no, and I put it, this is point blank.
Yeah.
You can't say, Uhuru, what are you as Wiper doing?
Tony, I must say that as a legislator, I'm disappointed. We have let Kenyans down. The portion of the Constitution where we can censure cabinet secretaries does not mean we wait for the president or we wait for the DPP. Because we have the mandate of oversight, some of these issues have passed through the National Assembly. The Ruaraka report, for example, passed through the National Assembly and they glossed over it. They forgot about it. The sugar report passed through the National Assembly. There's nothing they did about it. When it came to the Senate, half of my colleagues walked out. The portion where we name them is where in the report you name the person and say, you are a corrupt man and you should go home. Censure that person and then compel the president to take action. We as Wiper, if I was sitting in the National Assembly, I would have moved a motion of censure for some of these cabinet secretaries who are still sitting and have been found to have committed.
So Mheshimiwa, as vice chair of the Democratic Party, Wiper Democratic Party, can you undertake here at point blank that Wiper can whip its MPs to begin to look at the possibility of bringing this bill of censure? Because it's not enough to say, if I was there, you are in the leadership of the party.
Yes.
Your MPs report to the party and its leadership.
Yes.
You're talking about disciplinary committees and so on. What about action committees within Wiper? Do Kenyans not expect more from political parties, and particularly of the size and stature of Wiper?
Tony, I can repeat this again. We have, even as a party, I've not seen those pronouncements from members of our party who sits in the public and public investments and public accounts committee. Tony, you've been around to know that the public accounts committee, which were led by people like Mwangi Githiomi, were so famous during the KANU days because they would put power to task. They would make power sweat from State House. But Parliament has not taken that mantle. Yet, we have more powers than the older constitution. Some of the things that do not come to us, because they do not come to us in terms of audit.
With due respect to your party leader and the party and the many supporters of Wiper, I don't want to be disrespectful by saying there's sometimes a feeling that you're a flower girl as Wiper Democratic Party, because this thing has been an intra-Jubilee war, and sometimes ODM has weighed heavily on the issue of corruption. Would you agree that Wiper has largely been silent? And when you've talked about corruption, you've almost been meek about it. And my question is, because you're here at Point Blank, and this is a national platform, is there going to be some urgency now within Wiper?
Yes, you're mistreating the word flower girl. I'm honest enough to say that Wiper has not spoken to corruption the way we should as a political party on the floor of the National Assembly, where the National Assembly committees are auditing national government where corruption is happening, and where reports are supposed to be seated, and where the article on censure is supposed to be activated in terms of the Constitution. And therefore, we have in our meetings with the party leader, even when we make statements, they appear to address the president to the extent, Mr. President, we support you in the war on corruption, but not, please remove from office so-and-so and so-and-so who has been caught with his hand in the cookie jar, which appears to be a better bold statement. But the handshake has confused Parliament, because in the previous assembly, you would find members of the opposition speaking more boldly about corruption and corruption elements in government. But now we appear to be siding the ones who are good, who are corrupt, and nothing is said. And I've said reports, serious reports on the maize scandal, serious reports on the sugar scandal, serious reports on the Ruaraka scandal have been watered down in Parliament.
So I agree with you, but they're not here. You are here at Point Blank.
I've said at Point Blank that if I was sitting in the National Assembly where there's power to censure, I would have moved a motion.
And
I
now
cannot
that you're
move a
not
motion.
sitting, can you cause your MPs to do so?
We have asked them to do so. We have asked them to do so. I have asked severally through the whip.
So has the handshake also affected Wiper?
It has affected Wiper. I see it's a fact. It has affected Wiper, because I have seen some of them operating in some of the groups where they want to be associated whether there's Kieleweke or Tanga, which is a mistake. It's a mistake, and I'm saying it openly, that we as Wiper have not spoken enough on this issue.
Mheshimiwa, let me robe you. And I know one day you'll tell the story of the hat you wear in court, the guinea. I was told by Githu Mugai
it's a guinea.
It was to put the guinea.
Guineas at the back. It's a robe.
So let me robe you and say, to the student of law writing a thesis and presented with MUMBI's ruling on governor to remain out of office for the period of their case, where corruption is the accusation. What should that student writing a thesis at a university think about MUMBI's weight in jurisprudence? Does it go in advancing, or in your view, in retrogressing the gains?
I don't know whether, Tony, you've read the rulings of Lord Denning. Lord Denning was not famous for agreeing. Lord Denning was famous for dissenting. And Lord Denning was famous for developing the law. So whilst you do not have a specific legislation talking about the removal of office or stepping aside or being aside of office when a governor is charged in court, the spirit of the Constitution should not discriminate between a state officer and a public officer. To say that a governor can be charged in office and the following day is seated in the same office and is fraternizing or canoodling with the people who might be witnesses in a corruption in his office is against the Constitution, and is discriminatory according to the Constitution in Article 27. So if a student of law was writing a thesis about Mumbi Ngugi, you would write a thesis said the bold judge who bothered to go into the areas of the law that have not been spoken to, which is called the spirit of the law. A lot of us lawyers are mud in the letter of the law as opposed to the spirit of the Constitution. And therefore, it makes sense in principle that if you have been charged with particularly corruption that is so direct in some of these governors, where somebody is was from grace to grass and the other way around, that person cannot be in office. And also agree with the sentiment that in support of the fact that this person enjoys the will of the people under Article 1, keep him out of office, but expedite the process so that you have a two-pronged war. Means that the DPP should not take a governor to court unless he's ready. In fact, I'm waiting, Tony, for the day the DPP will commence the case the following day. Means the governor will be in custody, as opposed to a 15 million, 20 million bail. You start your case the following day. You present the evidence and tell them, come tomorrow for a hearing. So that then in a week you have completed and you grant the governor the bail once he has completed the hearing at the end of the 7 days or 14 days.
Mheshimiwa, if the tunnel of justice was dark,
yes,
would you think that MUMBI in her ruling has lit a torch?
Yeah.
Because other judges, other magistrates, with the public attention that her judgment has got, you're talking about spirits, maybe this is the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
Because will it be possible for judges and magistrates now to divert very far from her and not looking as though they're playing games?
If you followed some of the
bright to hide, you think?
If you followed the proceedings that followed the judgment of Justice Mumbi, because it was an appeal against a ruling to restrain a governor from office, they were much bolder. It just simply means that you need one person like Mumbi Ngugi to make a bold statement about the law and the spirit of the Constitution for the rest to follow, so that you don't grant anticipatory bail to a person who has not been charged, who thinks that they are going to be charged so that they are not charged in court, or hide. And therefore, if we are going to do, those are some of the issues we have been talking about.
So, Mheshimiwa, my grandmother used to say that if you point your finger, three are pointing back and God is a witness. Let's talk about lawyers.
Yeah.
Let's talk about you. Let's talk about the number of lawyers defending corruption.
Yes.
The number of lawyers hiding looted money. The number of lawyers who we call learned friends, who are meant to be custodians of our liberty, our laws, and become the people with whom justice is sought and obtained. To what extent are your brothers and sisters, lawyers, rotten to the core? And to what extent is so much money looted, not only hidden by them, but that they use the law to ensure that the public can never access, not just that, but even allow them to face the music, that you pay any amount and you get the best legal brains. And our lawyers, facilitators, are you, as a lawyer, facilitator of corruption?
Tony, I think I need to bring a book to you about the right of advocacy and the right of fair trial, because all those things are intertwined and are together. I think lawyers are taking a beating for nothing. The majority of my colleagues are very honest people. The majority of my colleagues are not hiding any money belonging to clients. But just in any society, you will find a few bad apples. From 2003, when we passed the anti-corruption law, we had lawyers who were participating actively in hiding money which was corrupt or used for very, very fraudulent activities. We are a highly regulated society. And being a highly regulated society of professionals, insofar as discipline is concerned, as the law is concerned, there are some of us who are doing very bad things. But Tony, every person, and you have been in court, you have been wrongly accused. And you know the principle about jailing one person and others going free. Every person in Kenya is deserving of a good lawyer to represent them, including suspects, so that you maintain the right of a fair trial.
So, Mheshimiwa, the current finance bill, as you well know,
yes,
provides for tightening up of reporting by lawyers.
Yes.
And many lawyers in and out of the law society are objecting to very clear, simple things.
Yes.
Banks are required to report on money that is there in excess of funny activity by regulations of the central bank and by good moral conduct. Why can lawyers agree with the propositions which are there right now, for them to be reporting money? If I come and give you 500 million, why can't you report that you have got 500 million from Mr. Gashoka?
By the way, lawyers don't make law. This is not a question of lawyers objecting. If the proposal, and I've had the proposal from the Director of Public Prosecutions, from Muthoni Kimani in asset recovery, and from the multi-task force led by the Attorney General, the minute those proposals are in, it is Parliament to make those decisions. Disclosures are disclosures. If you receive £1 billion for buying property X, what is the difficulty about disclosing?
So do you support or you don't support those proposals?
I support 100%. That's why I said it's not about lawyers. Don't make lawyers look like we oppose law. Lawyers act within the law. As we speak, that procedure is not there.
Mheshimiwa, I haven't seen you representing many accused persons of corruption. Obviously, I know your firm is among the biggest. Maybe you don't need the fees. but do you think a lawyer should say no to some cases?
A lawyer has a right to say no. We don't look for work, clients look for us.
Where do you stand in this moral quagmire? When you sometimes can see that this client, obviously, as you say, somebody has a right, but what about the people? What about the country?
Let me tell you where I stand. I stand in the place where justice must be a shield and justice must be a defender. And you must go back to our history of people like Githunguri, who were charged in court for no reason, and other people who are in jail when they shouldn't be in jail. The principle of law is that the law must be followed. There are places where cases are political. Your case was political, Tony Gashoka, and therefore you needed to be defended, and you defended yourself, and you went to jail for the right thing.
I was jailed by 7 judges.
You were jailed by 7 judges. What about a person who couldn't speak like you? My principle is that every person must be entitled to good legal representation. Even the worst criminal, in fact, Tony Gashoka, a person charged with murder in Kenya, murder, is given a lawyer by the state and paid by the state for a crime of murder. What does that mean? It tells you that we believe in the rule of law, and therefore it's the same thing.
Aya, watu wa Makueni wanakuangalia. What next for Mutula Kilonzo? What happens? What is the next step, Senator? Are you going for the governorship? Are you... Unajua tuseme sasa kinaga ubaga. Ama unaogopa?
No, siogope. I don't fear anything. Tony, I don't fear anything. I got the highest...
You're your father's son.
Yes, I'm my father's son, and he's proud of me wherever he is. I got nearly 100% votes, 97.2%. I have nothing to fear. But as we speak in 2019, a decision as to whether I should vie for the position of governor, I have not made that decision as a person. I will consider that.
But this is why you're in point blank. Why can't you make the decision?
I can't make the decision before you, Tony. You're not even my voter.
But are you going for higher view? Are people say and admire some of the things you do? Are you saying to them?
I don't know whether I can speak for myself or blow my trumpet, but I have a good record in Makueni.
Are you ambitious?
Extremely. And so if you read my profile, you will see that I'm ambitious. Extremely. And that's the reason.
So does that mean you're running for Governor Makueni? Tuseme ukweli.
I may or may not. But
so you're not disputing or you're not denying?
Not at all. I don't. Point blank. I'm not denying or not. But if the opportunity arises, and Tony, you must look at the history of how I became a senator. Became a senator at the last minute when I wasn't supposed to be, and I got elected. Similarly, got elected by them at a very high percentage. The people of Makueni enjoy my confidence, but I do not want, in the process of them enjoying my confidence and me sitting as senator, that I'm conflicted about positions that I want to take. If it occurs to me at the right time that I'm the right person to lead Makueni into the promised land, I will not hesitate, Tony, and you know that. Because I'm not afraid of losing or winning. If I lose, I go and practice law.
Well, the late Martin Luther King said, only when it's dark enough can you see the stars. Senator Mutula Kilonzo says, Judge Mumbi has lit a torch in the dark channels of justice. And he, in writing a law thesis, would say nobody accused of corruption should go back to the office before their trial is over. This is Point Blank. It's KTN News. Mheshimiwa, asante sana for coming. Governor of Makueni.
MKJ 017A.
This is KTN News.
Point Blank by TG was filmed on location at the Nairobi Serena Hotel.